The most obvious way to make green is by mixing yellow and blue, but it makes quite a difference which blue you choose and which yellow you choose, and also there are other options. Here I have primary yellow and phthalo blue, and if I mix these two colors, I will get a very vivid green. As always, you can balance it, of course, so now it leans more to the blue side. But if I add more yellow, it will lean more towards the yellow side. This color is vivid because we've mixed only two primaries, because we have a primary yellow and phthalo blue is a primary blue. So there's no drop of magenta in it, and that's why you get a very vivid secondary color green in this instance. And I'll show you the difference if I put ultramarine blue on my palette. Ultramarine blue leans more towards purple. I can show you that easily if I put a little bit of white in the phthalo. You see that you get a quite neutral blue. But if I add a little bit of white in the ultramarine, you see that you get a blue that's more towards purple. So you could say it contains a little bit of magenta, the third primary. So if I mix this with the yellow, I mix not only two primaries, but I mix three primaries. And that's why I will get a less vivid green. We can predict that already. So that's a totally different kind of green. There's nothing wrong with this green most of the times in nature. You will need these kind of greens that are a little bit muted, a little bit dull or gray as we can call it. So it's just a matter of what are you looking for? What do you need? If I add more blue, I get more of a blue kind of green, but you see it still stays a little bit dull. And of course, if I add more yellow, I get a more yellowish green. So there you have it, that already makes a big difference. So what happens if I use this yellow? This yellow has a bias towards orange. If you compare it with this yellow, this is neutral. This contains a little bit of magenta, technically speaking. So if I mix this color with ultramarine blue, then I will get an even less saturated color. So more gray even, because the total amount of magenta in this color is increased again, because there's also a little bit of magenta in that yellow, and there was already a little bit of magenta in the ultramarine. You can see it very clearly if I add white that this is a reasonably gray color. If you compare it with this green, for instance, you see that it still remains vivid. Now let's look at a less obvious way to make green. Some people may be surprised by this. I take some black and I add some of the primary yellow, and look what happens. We get a very nice dull green. Here I've put some yellow ochre on my palette. With yellow ochre you can make greens as well, because it contains yellow. It isn't a very vivid color, however, but if I add phthalo to the yellow ochre, I get a green color as well. But it is a little bit, soft, because yellow ochre has a little bit of softness over it. And if I do that here again, yellow ochre and a little bit of ultramarine, there you have it, a very desaturated, dull green color. Now, of course, if you use a blue like this is a grayish blue, we can predict that you will get a muted green because the color is light and it is gray of its own. Another yellow that I wanted to show was cat yellow lemon. And cat yellow lemon has a bias a little bit towards green by itself. So if I mix that with phthalo, I should get a very bright green as well. You see, there you have it. And should I mix that cat yellow lemon with ultramarine, I would get a less saturated color again. Thanks for watching, see you next time. Die kan in ieder geval uit. En deze ook.